All right, guys, happy Friday. So, we got to go ahead and talk about this new video that recently got released yesterday by Stephan. And it's funny because this is, he's in this weird thing now where he literally posts the exact same video just a few months later. I don't know why he does that, but that's the way Stephan does his channel now. He just recycles old videos that he made a few months ago. And I don't know, he thinks that maybe people will forget that he made the exact same video a few months ago. But anyway, I did want to talk about it because at the end of the day, Stephan is the biggest finance YouTuber. I mean, he's got like 5 million subscribers, like something crazy like that. And his title is very interesting as well as the video subject, because the title is Why You Shouldn't Buy a Home in 2024. And I'm going to go just a little bit into my personal life here. Some of you might remember, I actually talked about this last year. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I know for me personally, me and my girlfriend do want to buy a home. We were thinking about doing it last year. Then we really thought about it. We were like, okay, I don't think it's a good idea right now. We're looking right now, but there's really no point in us looking because we're not going to buy. Let's just be real. Okay. We're not going to buy. And I'm going to get into I'm going to get to you guys. We're going to get into why exactly that is. And I'm going to pull up some things that kind of put everything into perspective. Okay. So first, let's just go ahead and watch the video, hear what Stephan has to say, and then I'll go ahead and give my commentary.
Alright, so as a little bit of a background, here's what you need to understand about the housing market, because this is going to explain a lot. So far, year over year, national housing prices are up 5%, and active listings have barely risen from 616 to 665,000 units, which for context is still just 1/3 of the number of homes that were available back in 2016. This is creating a very challenging market for both buyers and sellers, because one, no seller wants to move and give up their existing mortgage interest rate, leading to low inventory, and two, the average buyer now needs to make $115,000 a year to afford the typical home. It's almost
Okay, so I kind of want to pause there because that's absolutely insane. Now, keep in mind, me and my girl, well, she's my fiance now. I am engaged now. But me and my fiance, we make a very, very good household income. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's really good, and it's higher than what he just showed on the screen. But the issue is, there are a lot of Americans who don't make six figures and are probably never going to make six figures. And that's extremely unfortunate because most Americans actually don't make much money. You can actually look up like the median, income just for the regular American. You could even look up the median household income for Americans. Just two people in one household, they don't even make what Stephan just put on the screen here. Let me go ahead and go back right here. This $115,000, you got households, many households in America that don't even make that. And when you consider how ridiculously housing prices have gone up compared to what people make, and I've said this in previous videos, we are getting into a situation where buying a home is now becoming a luxury. It's not the American dream anymore. It's not something that's attainable for most people. It's starting to become a thing that only people with money can do. Only people who are very well off or rich or upper middle class can afford. If you're not in that bracket, you're going to be renting for the rest of your life. It's very sad, but it's very true. Okay, now let me just show you some of the things that I looked at. Okay, so number one, you got this article right here in Yahoo Finance that says that 80% of Americans think that it is a bad time to buy a house. Me and my fiance are both in that category. We think so too. Based on everything that I've seen, it's not that we can't afford a house, okay? It really isn't, because we really can. I mean, at the end of the day, we could get something cheaper than what we're looking for, and depending on what neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is the interest rate is so ridiculously high right now because we calculated it. What you're going to pay monthly with a 4% interest rate is significantly different and higher than what you will pay with a 7% interest rate. It is so different. It is so different. And there's so much more that goes into it too than just the interest rate. There's like the material cost and, the overall housing market. Like home prices have just gotten ridiculous. Like, for example, like me and my, well, I don't want to get into prices, but some of the homes that we were looking at, the mortgage was like $3,500, $4,000. And it's like, who wants to pay that? Like it's unreasonable. And then I guess let me go ahead and skip over a little bit. Let me go to this chart right here. So right here, you can see that in the year 2023, the median monthly mortgage payment, and keep in mind, this is 2024, so it's gone higher. The median monthly mortgage payment right now in 2024 is like $2,800. But in 2023, it was about $2,268, almost $2,300. But if you look at the years before that, you can just see how ridiculous the housing prices have gone. So you can look on the right here. You can see that the average yearly interest rate before 2023 was 3%, 4%, 3%, 4%. And you can see here, I'll just go ahead and highlight it right here. You can see that the median monthly mortgage payment was $1,500, $1,200, $1,200. You go all the way back to 2011, $927. So when you look at that, and honestly, the biggest jump is, forget 2011, the fact that just 3 years ago in 2021, the median monthly mortgage payment was $1,500, and now fast forward to 2023, it became $2,200, and now fast forward to where we are now, it's like well over $2,500. Why in God's name would I want to buy a house when the cost of it has gone up so drastically? Like, am I crazy for thinking that at some point I'm going to be able to find a better price? I don't think I'm crazy. I truly believe, and it's just my opinion, I'm not a real estate expert, blah, blah, blah. You could disagree if you want. I truly believe that it will be wise to wait for the interest rates to go down. Now, I know some of you guys are in the camp. You think the interest rates are actually going to go higher. You don't think that they're going to go down. That's fine. I'm not buying a house with a 7% interest rate. I'm not doing it. It's crazy. You're overpaying. You are paying way more for the house than you would have at any other time in history. So I just refuse. Okay. Let's look at some other stuff. It says right here, the cost of buying a home has hit an all-time high. It is now more expensive to buy a home right now than at any other time in history. And you got crazy sky-high mortgage rates. Like, no, we're not buying a home. It ain't happening. We're renting. It is what it is. I would rather rent and stack up money and wait till the time is right than get into a situation that is going to make me unhappy financially. Like, in my personal life, I try to be very financially responsible. I really try to live below my means. If it's a situation where housing prices are going to be this crazy, I would much rather just like rent a townhome, because you're going to pay way less money than you are buying a home with these crazy interest rates. Let the landlord deal with the 7% interest rate. I just pay the rent. And again, obviously, I know rents are pretty expensive too, but to me, it's not as bad as buying a home. I mean, this is crazy. So now it says here, it's taking Americans much longer in life to buy their first home, which I actually thought this article was interesting too, because it says here the typical age to buy a first home has jumped to 36 years old. Folks, the median age of first-time home buyers is 36 years old. That is crazy. That's almost 40. To me, that's absolutely insane. Completely different than my grandparents. When my grandparents bought a home, they were in like their early 20s. They were like 24, 25. You know, they were pretty young. Fast forward to now, 36 years old is what you got to be. And the reason why is because it's really hard out here. People just ain't making money like that. And that brings me to another thing. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Right here. When I say people just ain't making money like that, I mean this right here. This article in Fortune, buying a house has gotten so expensive that home buyers need to make $50,000 more than they did pre-pandemic to afford one. Now let me rephrase this. That's only 5 years ago. The pandemic happened in 2020. They're talking about 2019. So in the span of 5 years, the average home buyer has to make $50,000 more in their salary just to buy a home 5 years later than before in 2019. Has your salary gone up $50,000? What about you? What about you? What about you over there? Like, think about it, the average raise at a job is like 3-4%. If you're only getting a 3-4% raise over the course of 5 years, and this is an annual raise you're getting, you're not going to make $50,000 more in income unless you get a second job, which unfortunately a lot of Americans are doing just to make ends meet. I mean, this is crazy. So I hope this kind of explains to you. And then this is also something else that Graham Stephan kind of hinted at in his video, but I just kind of wanted to talk about it. So it says right here, nationally, nearly 80% of U.S. homeowners with a mortgage have a rate under 5% as of January. Nearly 60% have rates below 4%, and 22% of homeowners have an interest rate under 3%. So let's just use our brains here. Remember, me and my fiance, we're like, we want to buy a house, right? But wait a minute. Why should we jump in the market and buy a home and get screwed when 80% of every homeowner in the United States has a rate under 5%? 60% have an interest rate under 4%. 22% have an interest rate under 3%. Why in God's name will we jump in the housing market and get 7% when everybody else has a rate under 5%, 4%, or 3%? You'd have to be crazy, okay? That's just what it is. So I do got to give Graham his credit here. I mean, this wasn't a bad video. I mean, it's a recycled video, but I like that he's doing this because I honestly do believe that this is good advice. Now, every time I make a video about real estate, there are always people in my comments that are like, oh, well, you can't predict the housing market. You have no idea what's going to happen. Just buy a home when you're ready. I disagree with that, okay? I can hold off a little bit more, okay? I do want to buy a home. Me and her, we want to buy a home together, blah, 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 but nah, bro. Everybody else got under 5% and I'm finna get 6, 7%. Nope, it ain't happening. I don't care. I don't care how long I gotta wait. Obviously, I'm not the only one because there's a really good YouTuber named Orlando Miner. I watch his channel. He's really good with real estate. And then obviously you got Graham Stephan here and you got other people. I even saw a video by Clear Value Text talking about why buying a home is not a good idea. So I'm just kind of giving you guys a little insight into not only my personal life, but maybe some of you guys can actually relate to this. You know, home buying is an absolute mess. The mortgage industry and achieving the American dream of buying a home has completely become unachievable. And I hope that it gets fixed. I really do, because I'm going to be stubborn. I don't care. The sad part is I can still buy a home, but I don't want to. Like, we can, but we don't want to. I don't want to overpay for my home. I think that's the main problem. I don't want to overpay. And in my personal opinion, you look at how ridiculous some of these prices have risen, especially in some of these properties in Chicago. In my opinion, if you buy a house right now, you are overpaying. And what's going to happen is, as soon as you buy that house, it's going to drop. I don't think these prices are going to stay at these insane levels forever. I think the prices are going to drop. Some people are going to get screwed, in my opinion. And I know people in the comments, oh, you could just refinance, blah, blah, blah. To me, it's not that simple. I would rather just hold out and wait to see what happens, and hopefully rates eventually go down, which I honestly believe that they do, okay? All right, that's today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Maybe you can relate to it in some way. Maybe you're in a situation like me where you're thinking about buying a home, but you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to wait on the sidelines until things get a little bit more affordable, okay? All right, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.